everyone, Karen Roby and Ed Bott here for ZDNet. Our topic today, electric cars. And Ed, you have been doing a lot of research on these lately. I think a good place to start here would be to help others talk about what you've been considering and what others should be looking at as well.
Right. Well, with a conventional internal combustion engine, uh, there's mostly you're looking at things like specs. You might be looking at mileage. You're looking at the price of the car, of course. That whether there's a good dealer in your neighborhood. But with an electric vehicle, some of those factors come into play. But much more important thing is to ask yourself two questions. Number one, where are you going to drive? And the second one is, where are you going to charge it? And those are the two big questions that you come to mind. Now, with most of what's called battery electric vehicles, those are fully battery powered cars, no gas engine whatsoever. You have a range of anywhere between 200 and 300 miles. Those are creeping up a little bit for some uh, high-end models that are coming out later this year and next year. But basically 200 to 300 miles you can go on a charge. So if you're mostly driving locally and you own your own home, you've got a garage where you can install a charger for it, or if you live in an apartment or a condo where the management will put in a charging station for you, then you can choose just about any vehicle. And even a 200-mile range will be more than enough for your commuting and your doing errands, grocery shopping and such around town. Is basically you've got three options for charging. You've got a level 1 charger, which is you plug it into a 110 volt outlet. Basically the same thing that you'd plug an electric light into, and that'll charge you very, very slowly, probably not effective for most applications. So then you go up to what's called a level 2 charger. For that you need a 240 volt outlet, and that will give you about 25 miles of range per hour, which means that you can recharge your car. If you've got it down to 10%, you can get it back up to 100% just by charging it overnight. And so for most people who do just local driving and commuting in their electric car, a level 2 charger at home will be just fine. But if you want to go out on the road, you can't afford to stop every 200 miles and charge your car overnight. You need to have something called a DC fast charger. And a DC fast charger, which runs at 150 kilowatts or 350 kilowatts, can get you from 10% to 80% in 30 to 60 minutes. So, that's really the key question to ask is, am I going to need one of those DC fast chargers?
And so it sounds like that's the only option really, when it comes to going on a road trip is to have that, because that's like the equivalent of a gas station, right? Every 30 miles or how often they pop up, you're going to need it.
Exactly. And for internal combustion engines, which are, they're horrible things that pollute, and, it's a good thing to try and, shift our transportation infrastructure to as much electric generation as possible, especially if it's powered by clean power, solar and hydro and stuff like that. But yeah, that's the real issue. And so I live in an unusual place, by American standards. I live in the great Southwest, and everything is far apart here. The nearest big city from me, I live in Santa Fe, New Mexico. The nearest big city is Denver, and that's about 400 miles away. The next nearest big city is Phoenix, Arizona. That's about 500 miles. You want to get to California, where my family lives, that's about 1,100 miles. And so I went and I checked out some of the availability of these fast charging stations. And basically, for me to get to my family's place in California, I'd have to make about 6 stops and spend somewhere between 3 and 4 hours standing around waiting for my car to charge up. And that's if I've got that's if I can find the chargers there. And so that becomes the real key. there's the charging network is the key to having a successful road trip. And that's one of the places where Tesla has absolutely nailed it with what they call their supercharger network. They've got 1,971 stations in the United States right now. That's enough to basically get you from coast to coast or north and south, just about anywhere. They've got a pretty staggering total of 17,647 stalls, and they all operate at full charging capabilities so that you can get up to about an 80% charge in 60 minutes or less. And the Tesla software does a really good job. You punch in your destination and they get you from supercharger station to supercharger station. They tell you exactly how long you need to stay there, how long you need to charge. They say, okay, you're done. You can get to the next station here. Now, the alternatives, if you don't have a Tesla, are far less interesting. Or far less available. You've got one network called EVgo. They have 800 locations nationwide, but not all of them are fast charging stations. They're affiliated with GM. So if you have a GM car, you look for an EVgo station, and they're doing a bunch of expansion, planning to add 2,700 more chargers in the next 5 years. There's another network called Electrify America, which is owned by Volkswagen and was created sort of as part of the settlement of Volkswagen's big scandal with their diesel cars. They've committed billions of dollars to building out the Electrify America network. They have 444 stations right now and are committed to add thousands again in the next 5 years. And then there's another network called ChargePoint, and they're going to be building electric charging stations at 2,700 truck stops and travel stations, which are exactly the kind of thing you see when you're on a cross-country road trip in the United States on the interstates. So a lot of that charging infrastructure is being built out there. But when you go and you drill down into the details of those, and you say, okay, well, I'm going to try and get to this charging station, but there's only one station, there's only one stall there that's going to work with my car, and I sure hope it's working, because otherwise I'm going to have to call a tow truck.
Yeah, that would pretty much be the only option at that point, Ed. And it really sounds like if you're one of those people that likes to burn up the road, take road trips quite often. I mean, really, Tesla is the right choice, right?
Well, if you want what's called a battery electric vehicle, a BEV, then Tesla's probably your best, safest choice right now. It's the one that's going to get you from point A to point B reliably and with as little range anxiety as possible. But there is a third option to the internal combustion engine and the full battery electric vehicle, and that's called the plug-in hybrid electric vehicle. Now, we all know what a hybrid is, right? The conventional hybrid has, it has a battery and an internal combustion engine together, and so it gets better mileage than just a plain internal combustion engine. What a plug-in hybrid does is it has two completely independent systems. One's electric, one's internal combustion engine, and you can toggle back and forth between them. And typically they have a range, a pure electric range of somewhere between 11 miles and 50 miles, where you can go just on electric. And then if you go beyond that, well, your gas engine kicks in and you become like a conventional hybrid at that point. But for a lot of people's needs, especially if you've got 20, 30, 40 miles of pure electric range, you can commute every day. You can do your errands every day, and you can be in full electric mode 60, 70, 80% of the time. But when you want to go on a road trip, you've got a car that you like, and it's running mostly on the internal combustion engine, and you can stop at any gas station that you want to. And so that's probably the choice that we're going to make here, because a plug-in hybrid has can have a range of 500 to 600 miles. And when you do need to stop, all you do is you stop at a gas station and you fill the tank back up, and you don't have to worry about that 30 to 60 minute stop to charge every 200 to 300 miles. So, but that's the option that's available there for people who say, geez, I like the Tesla supercharger network, but I'm not knocked out by the cars themselves, and rather have something like one of the new Volkswagen, one of the new Volkswagens that's coming out, or the Volvo plug-in hybrids, or the Honda plug-in hybrid. You get one of those, and you sort of get the best of both worlds. You can do about 80% of your driving, most of your local driving, in pure electric mode. But when you go on a road trip, you say, I'm not going to have to worry about charging. I'm just going to have a nice, relaxed, leisurely trip there. But those are the options, and it's a fascinating time. One interesting thing is there's a whole bunch of innovation that's being done in this space right now. And I think in the next 2, 3, and 5 years, you're going to see an absolute explosion of battery-powered electric vehicles. You're going to see big increases in range among those vehicles. And importantly, you're going to see build outs of these charging networks, so that maybe the choices right now aren't perfect, aren't ideal, but in 3 years you're going to be able to find exactly the car that you want, something that's good for the environment and good for your needs.
Yeah, absolutely. Just like with anything, right now, like you said, maybe not perfect options, but just give it a little bit more time, and there will certainly be plenty of options for people. I think it's exciting and truly fascinating, Ed, that this is where we are.
That it is.
Yeah, exciting times. All right. Well, for much more on electric cars, make sure you check out Ed's articles on the topic. And we have much more, of course, on ZDNet that you can check out as well. Thanks so much for watching.